There's always that one person in every group. At work, in your family, in the community. The one who speaks the loudest about morals. Always pointing fingers. Always outraged. The one who calls out cheating, corruption, or bad behavior like it's a full-time job. But then, the rumors start. You hear they're doing the very same thing they condemn. Only worse. Stealing more. Lying bigger. Cheating smarter. Suddenly, you realize, the outrage was never about right or wrong. It was camouflage. Noise. A distraction from their own game. Now imagine that person isn't your colleague or cousin, imagine that person is your mayor. Or your president. This is not just a story about hypocrisy. It's a story about how outrage is weaponized. How moral panic becomes a mask. And how, in South African politics, even the fight against drugs might not be about justice, but about control. At the center of this war of words is Gayton McKenzie, once a convicted bank robber, now the mayor of Central Karoo and the leader of the Patriotic Alliance. His journey from prison cell to political podium is almost cinematic. He speaks in absolutes, stands with swagger, and shouts down his enemies with the confidence of someone who has already survived hell. For McKenzie, his past isn't a liability, it's branding. And part of that brand is his war on so-called foreign drug dealers, most often Nigerian nationals. McKenzie blames them for poisoning South African communities. He has promised crackdowns, mass deportations, and taking back the country. To many, it sounds like law and order. To others, it sounds like opportunistic xenophobia. But to his followers, it sounds like leadership. But every hero in politics needs a villain, and Gayton has one in Julius Malema. Malema, the leader of the economic freedom fighters, is no stranger to fire. He speaks like a preacher and fights like a boxer. Where McKenzie wraps himself in the green and gold of nationalism, Malema drapes himself in revolutionary red. And while they occasionally agree on problems, they rarely agree on the people to blame. Then, last week, Malema dropped a political grenade.
He says, the business of drugs, he thinks he's making a point, Dr. Ndlozi. The business of drugs has been taken over by Nigerians. I'm like, he wants us to take over the business of drugs. He doesn't say, we must close down the drugs. His problem with the Nigerians is that they can no longer sell drugs as leaders of Patriotic Alliance. They want Nigerians to go so that they can sell the drugs. That's what he said. But you are not going to mobilize me that I must fight another drug lord to replace that drug lord with you as a drug lord. We are not fighting the drug lords. We are fighting the drugs. The drugs must get out of South Africa.
It wasn't a vague critique or a clever metaphor. It was a direct accusation that Gayton McKenzie's tough on drug stance isn't moral or patriotic, but strategic. That the former gangster isn't just fighting for power, he's allegedly fighting for market share. Whether or not Malema's words are true is beside the point. What matters is why they were said and when. Both men are chasing the same disillusioned voter, black, working-class South Africans who have been abandoned by the ANC, brutalized by unemployment, and forgotten by the police. In that vacuum, both McKenzie and Malema offer clarity, simple solutions for complex problems. But clarity in politics often comes at the cost of truth. The reality of South Africa's drug crisis doesn't fit neatly into a campaign slogan. Drugs enter through ports controlled by corrupt officials. Gangs run operations in collusion with police. Drug lords aren't just foreigners, they're also citizens, cops, politicians, and businessmen. But that narrative is too messy, too structural. It doesn't make for a good rallying cry. Blaming Nigerian immigrants, on the other hand, is easy. It's visual. It's emotional. And it's politically profitable. This is the business of blame. And like any good business, it thrives on demand. Every broken township. Every police station that doesn't answer the phone. Every school turned into a gang recruiting ground, all of it creates a hunger for accountability. When the state fails to deliver justice, politicians sell blame instead. And just like that moralist in your life, the one who's shouting turns out to be a cover, political outrage can be a performance, not a principle. Malema's accusation is a rare moment where the mask slips, not just off McKenzie, but off the entire political theater. Because if McKenzie, a former gangster, is using drugs as a tool for power, then Malema's words are a challenge. You're not trying to stop the drug trade. You're trying to run it. But the accusation also raises questions about Malema's own strategy. Is this about truth? Or is it political chess? Is he warning the public? Or is he simply undercutting a rising competitor in a crowded election season? McKenzie has yet to respond directly. And maybe he doesn't need to. In South African politics, silence can be just as powerful as speech. A denial might fuel the fire. A counterattack might give Malema more airtime. So the silence lingers, and the suspicion grows. Meanwhile, the drugs keep flowing. The children keep overdosing. The police keep taking bribes. And the real kingpins, the ones who never stand on stage, keep getting rich. This isn't a story with clean heroes and villains. It's a story where the line between lawmaker and lawbreaker is thinner than ever. Where fear wins votes. Where silence is strategy. And where shouting the loudest doesn't mean you're innocent, it just means you've learned how to sell the message. So before you cheer for the man with the microphone, ask yourself this: is he warning you? Or is he advertising?